Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Osula. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Oh man, this is going to be a good video. What a fucking relief that result was. Like, going into the period of fixtures that we've got coming up, to get a result like that against what are essentially the form team of the Premier League. And I'm going to be honest, looking at the period of fixtures we've got ahead, other than Chelsea, that is probably the easy one, to be honest. But it still was far from easy. And as well, to actually be getting wins without Bruno as well, like, I'm genuinely just buzzing about that result. So I've got loads to talk about in this video. I've got, obviously, the crazy yellow card against Jacob Ramsey. Then obviously I'll put my match reaction to the last goal in, because the rest of the match reaction stuff was a bit shit, to be honest. So realistically, the only thing you want to see is the reaction to Osula's goal. And then I also want to talk a little bit about the media witch hunt that's going after Woltemade, because I've got some thoughts on that as well. And also I've got some interesting stats on that as well, just to show just how fucking mental it is that they're going after Woltemade. But before all of that, I want to talk about my last video. Now, generally, anyone who watches this channel knows that the part of the idea behind this channel was for me to not be too emotionally reactive to the things that are going on. So when things do take a bit of a downturn, not just straight jumping on like the Eddie Howe out bandwagon or anything like that, you know, trying to have a bit of patience, try and support as far as I can before eventually I'm fucking had enough. So I think to a lot of the regular viewers of the channel, my last video did potentially come as a bit of a shock, because I've been trying to sort of keep the faith for as long as I possibly could. Not necessarily because I believed that we were playing well or anything like that, or I believed necessarily that things were going to turn around, but more because I just think that football can be a very sort of emotionally reactive game a lot of the time. I also think there is a point where it goes too far. I also think there is a point where you have to be truthful and you have to call a spade a spade. Like, there's riding out a bad patch and then there's being delusional. And I didn't want to cross over the line of being delusional. So I had to be truthful and call a spade a spade. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't me doing some kind of explanation, you know, where I feel like I have to explain myself after that video. This isn't that at all, because to be honest, the video has actually received really well. The majority of the fan base are in the same boat. The reason I want to talk about this is because now we've had a good result, we can sort of put that to bed a bit, hopefully, for now, because that is a result that genuinely does, like, I talked in the last video about how the previous results, you know, like the Carrick wins and stuff, I said that they don't paper over the cracks. This Man United one, I'm not going to say everything's fine again now, but this Man United one is genuinely something that doesn't come with an asterisk. Like, this one genuinely was a good performance, was a good result, and there's no taking anything away from it. So the reason I want to talk about it is because I need to give an analogy to help maybe everyone be on the same page. Because yeah, we beat Man United and it was a great result, but it doesn't mean that we're still in a great place. Like, we have to be real here, we're still not in a great place. We could lose the next 3 games and then suddenly everyone's piling back on the team. And we do have a lot of hard fixtures coming up. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to give everyone an analogy of why at times as a supporter, because a lot of people sit there and they say that, you know, oh, you need to be more supportive and you need to, you know, be more patient with the lads and all that kind of stuff, right? Sometimes you can still care about the team, you can still support the team, but you get to a point where that is where you're at, right? So let's say you have a friend and that friend is doing some stupid shit, doing something that is really, really bad for them. Let's say that that friend has managed to take on a very expensive and naughty habit. Now, I'm not claiming to be some kind of rehab officer here, but if you have a friend that has some kind of naughty habit, you know, you will probably start out being very supportive of them. You'll probably start out being, you know, oh, I'm here for you. We're going to help you get through this. You know, I'm here. I care about you. I support you. We're going to help you get off this, right? And if you give them that approach and they keep on just not listening, keep on going back to it, keep on going back to it, and keep on, nothing's changing. If nothing keeps on changing, you eventually get to a point where the next thing that you want to do is give the cunt a slap round the fucking face and tell them to sort their fucking shit out. Because sometimes that is the best approach. Sometimes that is what they needed. Now, that's not me saying that, you know, my channel is anywhere near big enough that, you know, none of the players realistically probably watch my channel. And realistically, a lot of what the fans will say online realistically, a lot of the players probably don't read any of that either. You know, I'm not deluded enough to think that anything that I'm saying in these videos, like, it's just, you know, it's not being played in the dressing room. You know, Anthony Gordon's not sat at home watching my video like, oh, yeah, he's right. All I'm saying here is that you can still care about, support something, someone, and get to a point where you think that they have taken the piss enough that you become a bit less patient. That's all I'm saying. All I'm trying to do here is I'm essentially trying to help some of the happy clappers. I'm trying to help them maybe understand the perspective from some other fans. So maybe there's less infighting within the fan base at that point. If I'm going to be honest, the 3 people in the video that I really went hard on, I went hard on Nick Pope, I went hard on Kieran Trippier, and I went hard on Anthony Gordon. And then in the Man United game, we have seen no Nick Pope, so he was actually swapped out for Ramsdale, who made a massive difference. Like, part of what I was saying about Nick Pope in the video was that he hasn't made a save in as long as I can remember that's actually won us points from games. Ramsdale played 1 game last night and he made saves that won us points. So again, I'm not saying that, you know, anything that I'm saying on these videos is affecting anything. It's not affecting Eddie Howe's team decisions or anything like that. But if we got performances like that every time after I'd made a video like that, then I would make a video like that every fucking week if I had to. Kieran Trippier, again, was also 10 times more with it, 10 times more focused, and Anthony Gordon actually genuinely had a good game. Anthony Gordon looked a lot like the Anthony Gordon that we saw from 2 years ago, running into the box, causing hassle for defenders, winning penalties. And what we have now is the first result in a long time where I actually think, like, you know how I said that the Carabag wins and the Spurs wins and the Villa wins, I said that they don't paper over the cracks. Like, there's still blatant, clear problems within this club. This Man United game is the first win that we've had in a long time where I actually look at it and it doesn't come with an asterisk. It's the first one where I'm like, that genuinely does potentially paper over the cracks. Like, that is genuinely something to build on. So that's what we need to do now. We need to go into the next game and make sure this isn't what it has been all season, where we have one good performance and then it goes to shit the next week. So against Manchester City on Saturday, we need to build on that. We can't just let it be what it's been all season, a flash in the pan. Now, to quickly chat about the game before we get into the reaction for Osula's goal. So we started pretty strong, had a few chances in the first half. Trippier hit the post from what was kind of more of a cross, to be honest, I think, but hit the post. Then Barnes hit one just past top bins, and Tonali had sort of a nice shot from the edge of the area that just went past the post. I wouldn't say it was a completely dominant performance. Man United had some chances as well. The Mbermo chance where he absolutely skied like that. That was a big point in the game where realistically he should have scored that, but he didn't. We'll take our luck, because in a game where the opposition has 12 fucking men, you have to take your luck. And I genuinely cannot fucking believe that second yellow card for Ramsey, because I'm telling you right now, if that was any of Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, or Man United, if that was any of them 4, I am telling you right now, they would never ever get a second yellow card for something like that, right? We've seen it countless times in football games where someone is on a yellow and then they do something that's like borderline for a second yellow, but the referee will let them get away with it because it's like, oh, is it worth a second yellow and a sending off? So we're just going to quickly look at it here, because Ramsey doesn't actually like go down protesting that he should have had a penalty. Like there's no appeal for a penalty here. Like if we just quickly watch, right? So I'm going to watch it from this first angle here. If you look closely afterwards, there's no like immediate get up from Jacob Ramsey. We can't see long after, but from what I hear, there was no like protest, no appeal for a penalty. If we look here, he goes down on the floor and he just stays laid down on the floor. And then very shortly after, you see that he gets up and he's like, what am I being sent off for? So if you just look, goes down, and he just stays laid down on the floor. Obviously, it does cut away to the replay. And then for the replay, so we're going to look, because I'm pretty sure there is a tiniest bit of contact. And it doesn't mean it's a penalty. I'm not saying it's a penalty. It's not a penalty. But look, tiniest bit of contact, which does, if you look at the way Jacob Ramsey's foot lands, it looks like there's a lot of impact to the point where his foot just goes from underneath him because he's kind of off balance. So if we look here, look. Right, so it looks like there is a bit of impact there. It's kind of come off the screen a little bit, but it looks like there is a little bit of a touch on his foot there, right? Now look at the way his foot lands. It's behind me, sort of, but that foot there, that's a lot of impact, right? And then that second foot behind him there, he kind of puts it down and loses his footing with that second foot that goes down. Like that foot doesn't plant at any point, which is why he just goes straight down. And then he just lays down. And then the next shot is him. He has no idea what the fuck's going on. Why am I being sent off when I've gone down because I didn't plant my foot properly, so I fell to the floor. I get back up, haven't appealed for a penalty, and now I'm being sent off for a second yellow. And just for context as well, the Nottingham Forest Man City game was going on at the same time. Erling Haaland went down in that game looking for a penalty, and it wasn't given. Where's the yellow card then? Like, personally, I'm actually of the belief that, like, if something is worth a yellow card, it's worth a yellow card, whether you're already on a yellow card or not. However, there has to be consistency with that, because all the way throughout this season, there has been potential second yellow cards multiple times all over the Premier League, and barely ever are they given, right? And some of them are 10 times worse than what Jacob Ramsey apparently allegedly did, which there is no actual case to say that he did, simulate. It didn't look like a dive. It looked like he landed and fell. So for me, us winning that game was just a major kind of like justice win, sort of similar to the Aston Villa game, to be honest. Like, the intense bias of it was just so clear to see. There was a moment later on in the game where it's just after Dalot had came on, Willock blazed past him out on the wing, and Dalot basically just grabs him by his shirt and rags him down, and there was no yellow card given. And then, literally minutes later, Cunha blazes past Trippier down on the wing. He sticks his foot in, and from Trippier's reaction, he might not have actually caught Cunha. Like, you can usually tell from a player's reaction, like, how, like, obviously they always complain, but how kind of like pissed off they are with a decision. You can usually tell whether or not there is actually a contact, and the actual replay was very fast, so you can't really see. It's very, very close, but like, he gets a yellow card for that, yet there was none given for Dalot, the other side, which was a clear and obvious rag down by the shirt. Both of them, by the way, like, a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, Cunha's, he'd like broke past him and it was stopping a, promising attack. Willock had also burst past Dalot out on the wing. They were both out on the wing. They'd both beaten their man. They both stopped promising attacks. And then obviously we've got the 9 minutes extra time in the first half, which, where the fuck did that come from? Like, it's as if they were literally just playing to give Man United an opportunity to get a goal back before half time, because everyone knows how kind of mentally draining it is to go into half time having just conceded a goal. So that in itself, that was sus. And then we get the same at the end of the second half as well. Bearing in mind, Osula's goal wasn't in extra time, it was in the 90th minute. So we've scored this goal in the 90th minute, 5 minutes are added on, and somehow we're still playing football in the 98th fucking minute. Yet again, you can almost guarantee the other way round. I mean, we've had it multiple times this season where we're the ones chasing a lead against one of these top four clubs, the teams that they clearly fucking want in the Champions League. We're the ones chasing after one of these teams, and it'll get to, there'll be like 7 minutes extra time or something like that. We'll get to bang on the 7th minute, and we'll be on an attack. We did it against Liverpool. We'll be literally about to go on a counter-attack. 7th minute, bang on. Yeah, whistling it out. Get it blown. Oh, you'll be letting them have a chance at scoring again. And with how, like, common it's been this season that games have been won and lost in them final minutes, quite often in favour of, the big clubs, like, you have to question if there is an agenda going on there. You have to, because it's just insane. Also as well, actually, even for our penalty, if you listen to the half-time talk, I think it was Owen Hargreaves, I think he says that the VAR actually needs to tell the referee that he needs to give a penalty there. No, actually, I'm going to show you, I mean, you can see him there. You can see the referee there. But I'm going to show you the view that he had of it. I'm going to show you this angle here so you can see the view that the referee has of this decision, and how he needs the VAR, because he stopped for a few seconds, and the VAR, I think, then says, no, that's a penalty. The VAR doesn't actually intervene and say, they don't send him to the monitor. They just say, yeah, you need to give a penalty here, apparently. Look at that. The referee is there. He couldn't have a clearer view of Fernandes slamming his leg into Anthony Gordon's knee in the box. Like, there is no question about it at all. How the fuck the referee needs any kind of intervention whatsoever? Like, granted, he does give the decision, but the fact that he paused even for a second, like is insane. Like I'm not just trying to be some kind of conspiracy theorist here, but like it genuinely seemed as if there was like a predetermined idea that he wasn't going to give penalties for anything for us, and then it was kind of a situation where it was, oh, I'm going to have to hear, aren't I? But anyway, enough of me complaining about things within the game, because at the end of the day, I'm still buzzing. So here is the reason I am buzzing. It's a relatively easy save. I know they're kind of bigging it up, but it's like, it's close to Ramsdale, so it's not anything mental. But I'm telling you now, that goes in if that's Pope. Previous Pope, before he became shit, no, Pope would have saved that as well. But who Pope is now, he's kept that in. Go on, Osula, go all the way. Come on! Fucking Will Osula, you absolute fucking beauty! What a fucking goal, man. Do you know what? As soon as he set up down that position, because we've seen him score that exact goal before, as soon as he set up in that position, I was like, he's going for a step over and a shot. Yeah, I knew he was going for it. Like, come on, lads, hold on. Don't fucking switch off. Do not concede after minutes. Come on. No rush, no rush. Hold it. Hold the ball. Waste time. Come on, take the piss. Just let's fucking hold on. No, don't fuck it up here. Come on. Eddie looks so stressed. Go on, that's 95th minute. Wait, so why do we have, come on, yes. That's a foul! He's just fouled Tonali. Right, so we're now past the added time. He's just fouled Tonali to get the ball. Bearing in mind, the goal at the end of the first half was in like fucking 9th minute of added time. Don't understand why that came from, considering there was like 3 minutes added. How is this not full time? Blow that fucking whistle. Where's the fucking full time whistle? We're in the net with 3 minutes over. Fucking thank you, Jesus Christ. Do you know what? One thing that I do need to say as well, because obviously there's been a lot of criticism of Eddie Howe recently, right? One thing I do need to say is credit to Eddie Howe for putting on Will Osula in that moment. And like, I say credit to him, not too much credit, because I do feel like it's just kind of the change that he makes all the time. But that was the perfect situation for a Will Osula. Like a situation where we're down to 10 men and we just need someone to be running around causing any kind of chaos possible, which is what Will Osula does, causing any kind of chaos possible just to try and disrupt their rhythm so that they aren't the ones constantly piling on us and putting us under pressure. And Will Osula is also perfect at attacking in a situation like that where, you know, the opposition, they don't have many men back because they are trying to push on and get a winner, and he can basically just isolate one defender at the back and, you know, create a moment like that. That scenario of a game is perfect for Will Osula. There's going to be a lot of people saying, you know, that he should be playing every week and whatever off the back of that goal, and I don't necessarily agree that he should. Like, I do want to see him play right wing more often, and that's what a lot of people are going to be probably saying after that goal. I don't think that Will Osula is suited to a game where you're actually having to play football, and the majority even of that game, it was an actual football game. That last 10 minutes or so did just sort of turn into chaos, and that's where Will Osula thrives. Will Osula thrives in chaos, but in sort of like a well-structured, you know, normal game of football, teams passing the ball around and, you know, like intricate movement and stuff like that. I don't think Will Osula necessarily thrives in that. But anyway, let's move on to the last thing, something that I mentioned at the start of the video that I would talk about, and that's the Woltemade media witch hunt. Obviously, there's already been a lot said by everyone about the media witch hunt, how fucking stupid it is, how unfair it is, how, you know, all that's already been said. So I don't need to add any more to that, because I agree. It is stupid. It is unfair. It is wrong. Woltemade is clearly a top player, and he has been played out of position. When he has been played as a striker, he's been offered very little service. And I've got some stats here, because we've just played Man United, and Man United's striker at the moment, the one that obviously we also went in for, Benjamin Sesko, he is a media darling at the moment, because he's, you know, first of all, he plays for Man United, so they will try to protect him as much as they possibly can. But second of all, he is actually on form at the moment. But both of them came at the start of this season, so we have a very good metric for, you know, who is the better striker over the course of the season, because we can obviously look at recent form, but it's not particularly that fair, because, as I said, Woltemade has been playing in midfield. But despite that unfairness, because, you know, of the fact that Woltemade has played half the season in midfield, let's look at their stats over the course of the season anyway and see who has actually been the better striker of the two, because Woltemade is apparently according to some in the media, the worst signing Newcastle, or was it even in the Premier League, that the worst Premier League signing pound for pound of all time, yet you wouldn't be saying that about Benjamin Sesko right now, would you? So let's just have a quick look. Who's actually had the better season, Woltemade or Benjamin Sesko? So I've got a full stats comparison for both of them, so I'm going to put them on the screen as I go through them. So we're going to start with shots. Woltemade has had 1.4. Benjamin Sesko has had 3.3. This is per 90. And then just to go straight into the next one, shots on target, Woltemade has had 0.8. Sesko's had 2.1 per 90. And then to give a full picture, goals per 90, Woltemade 0.5, Sesko 0.6. So what I'm seeing straight away from that is not at all like, yes, Sesko has technically scored more goals per 90, but if we look at the shots and shots on target, Woltemade's conversion rate, which coincidentally is the next statistic, Woltemade's conversion rate is considerably higher. Considerably higher. What we're essentially taking from that is, as we already know, Woltemade is getting absolutely no service. But Woltemade are in that Man United team, and they are, you know, putting things on a plate for Sesko. As I said, the next statistic, conversion rate, Woltemade 30.43, Sesko 18.6. I mean, again, I just said it, like, Woltemade, if he was in a team that was actually getting service or not playing in midfield, if he was actually getting chances, the stats there say that he'd be doing a hell of a lot better than Sesko. But anyway, let's look at some more. Assists, Woltemade 0.2 per 90, Sesko 0.1. Chances created, Woltemade 0.7 per 90, Sesko 0.6. Take-ons completed, Woltemade 0.6 per 90, Sesko 0.5, fouls won, Woltemade 1 per 90, Sesko 0.3, and then finally, touches in the opposition box, Woltemade 4.3 per 90, Sesko 5.8. So essentially, looking at that, all we need to take from that is that if Woltemade were actually getting support when he was playing as a striker, and if he was even playing as a striker, Woltemade would be a hell of a lot better than Sesko. His conversion rate is better, his build-up play is better, but quite simply, Man United have better players at supporting a striker. They have Mbeumo, they have Cunha, they have Bruno Fernandes. We had Bruno Guimaraes, and that is it, really, and he's now injured. So realistically, if we actually look at when they were both playing as strikers, if we look at Woltemade at the start of the season, and obviously Sesko's hit form now, when we look at it like that, Woltemade is better than Sesko. Like, he might not be getting the service at the moment, but he is better than Sesko. Our wingers and, well, we don't have a 10. Our wingers and non-existent 10 are nowhere near as creative as Mbeumo, Cunha and Bruno Fernandes. You know, they are not offering anywhere near the level of support to Woltemade that those three are offering to Sesko. And don't worry, I'm going to make sure I clip that up and whack that on TikTok, and hopefully that can go some way towards changing this narrative about Woltemade and stop the media witch hunt after him, because it's a fucking piss take. Because Woltemade is not at all to blame for where we have been over the previous weeks. Woltemade isn't even to blame for his downturn in form. Woltemade is quality. He has had no service. He's been played out of position. But back when he was playing as a striker, right the way up until, obviously there was the Sunderland game, right the way up until then, he was scoring goals for fun. The fact that nobody gives the ball to him in the box is not his fault. That's the players around him. But anyway, on to the Man City game at the weekend. A lot of people were kind of gutted about the fact that we got Man City in the cup. I'm actually really buzzing about it because we're going to have to play them most likely at some point. I would rather play them now in a home tie than a two-legged tie or even a final. So this is the perfect time to play them, and especially off the back of, you know, that kind of morale-boosting win last night against Man United. We're going to try and go into it with some hope that we can build on that Man United performance. We can finally stop having good performance, heap of shit, good performance, heap of shit. We can hopefully build some consistency. I'm not super confident we can because we don't have Bruno, and, you know, history says we're not that great without Bruno, but maybe we found a way to win without Bruno. I mean, we found a way to win last night with 10 men versus 12 men without Bruno, so if we can do that, then we can beat City. One thing I will say is that Jacob Ramsey does seem to be doing a relatively good job of filling the massive Bruno-shaped hole we have in our midfield, so hopefully he can keep that up as well. But as always, thank you for watching. That's all the noise for this one. Until the next one.